What if I told you there is no circuit breaker in high voltage direct current gas insulated switchgear? Yes, you heard it right. There is absolutely no circuit breaker. Well, then the question is how the switching happens, how the fault currents are taken care. Well, let's find out about that in this video, and also we'll have a quick overview of HVDC GIS. So what you can see on the screen is the typical single line diagram of HVDC gas insulated switchgear, and you can see there is absolutely no circuit breaker used, right? We'll understand this why there is no circuit breaker by the end of this video, so make sure you watch it till the end. Now HVDC transmission has its own advantage. There are certain scenarios where HVDC is much more beneficial compared to the conventional high voltage AC current transmission. The reason is pretty simple, the advantage they offer. One of that scenario could be the offshore transmission of power, where you have to transmit power over a huge distance, where AC is not very much helpful because of the limitation of the inductive component, capacitive component. All those things are eliminated in HVDC transmission. And that's why in some of the applications, those are the only choice to transmit bulk amount of power. Now, we have talked about HVDC a lot of time. I have a dedicated playlist on that. I'll put link for it down in the description. If you are interested, you can go and learn more about that. But just to give you a quick brief, so what we have in HVDC is there is first AC system, which is then getting converted by the converter station into DC. We transmit that power using DC lines. Then again, there is a converter that converts back to the AC, and then we connect it to the AC system. Now, this is something very important when we have to transmit power between two regions when they have different frequency. Maybe one region is having 50 hertz, another is 60 hertz. The only link that you have is HVDC. So those are some of the applications where HVDC is very, very useful. And that's why you will find a lot of projects coming up with the HVDC transmission. Many of the projects are already installed, not only in India, but also in many other countries. And here are some of the advantages that HVDC offers. So no limitation on the length of the transmission line. So when we talk about AC, because of the capacitive element, inductive element, the length and the power that you can transmit is limited. But there is no as such limit on the length of the transmission line in HVDC. Power can be delivered either way, so one end to another and another to the original end. Both way the power can be transmitted. This is something unique. Precise control of power can be achieved in HVDC. Improved energy transmission capacities and simplified tower design. This is again one more advantage because you only have two wires, the positive and negative, right? So the tower design is pretty much simplified here. And those are some of the advantages that HVDC offer, and that's why people are using it, utilities are using it. Now, if we look at the system, we definitely need the switchgears here, right? We need switchgear on the AC side. Of course, those will be the AC switchgear, can be AIS type or GIS type. Then after the converter station, we also need the switchgears, right? But this switchgears will be DC switchgear and not AC switchgear, right? And just like the AC, in DC also we have couple of options. We have AIS switchgear and then we have GIS switchgear. Well, the most common choice, just like the AC transmission one, is the AIS switchgear, air insulated type of switchgear. Now those are advantages because the cost of that would be less compared to the GIS one, but there are some trade-offs with that. One, and the major one, is the space requirement. AIS switchgear needs huge amount of space because we are using air as the dielectric medium. So the space that you need would be very, very huge compared to the GIS one. But I'm not saying it's bad. They perform their function perfectly well. There are absolutely no problem with that. But there are certain cases where space becomes, of paramount importance. If you are transmitting power to a populated cities, buying that land would cost you a lot of money. Or maybe the obvious example is, let's say, offshore HVDC transmission. When you do, you cannot install AI switchgear on this platform, this kind of platforms. Well, even if you install, you will need huge space, then accordingly the construction must be. It must be strong. You need more steel, more concrete, and it adds a lot of other things, right? So especially in such scenario where land cost is high, where you don't have land, actually you are building it something on the sea on a man-made platform, space becomes very very critical. And that's where some of the manufacturers have also developed the high voltage direct current gas insulated switchgear, and they can help us save space up to 95%, and that's huge saving. You can see one example. The top image shows the switchyard with the DC AIS switchgear, and the bottom one shows with the DC GIS. You can see it's very much compact. Up to 95% space saving is what claimed by some of the manufacturers. So there is huge saving in the space that we can do. And also on the platforms that are placed offshore, you can see this is the whole platform that you need if you're using the AIS. But if you transmit or you transfer everything to GIS, then you see the space is very very limited. Yeah, so you can see if you switch to GIS, the platform that you need becomes very very compact. And the advantage of this HVDC GIS is that you can place it on top of the ground, connected to the HVDC transmission line like you see in the image, or you can even put it underground. So it's made for the both application. There are some solutions available, containerized GIS, so you just get the container, place it on the site, and you're good to go. So it's a versatile application that it offers. So what is this GIS basically? So it's nothing but the SF6 gas filled switchgear, the same one that we have talked about in the AC transmission side, right? I've already a couple of videos talking about what is GIS, what is AIS, the comparison between these two, the advantages of each, and everything. I'll put link for that playlist down in the description. So what is this HVDC GIS? Well, it's the same switchgear. Technically not the same. There are design differences because one is we are using for alternating current, another one we are using for direct current. But the purpose in both the scenarios is same, right? Here also we are using SF6 gas that is being filled as an insulating medium. Now, when we compare the dielectric strength of air and SF6, SF6 dielectric strength is very much powerful. And as a result, we can squeeze this switchgear into a compact form. And that's why we could achieve the saving up to 95%, right? So that is the switchgear is filled with SF6 gas, and it is specifically made for a DC supply, not AC. And of course, you cannot, bring in the AC GIS and use it for DC. That's not possible, right? So you need a dedicated DC. And what you can see is the containerized solution offered by Siemens Energy. So that is the HVDC GIS. Now let us quickly have a look at the components of this. So first, the core component in the HVDC switchgear is the disconnector and earthing switch. If we have to talk about AIS, it would be circuit breaker. But for DC, it is the disconnector and earthing switch. Again, they do not have capability to break the live current. The circuit must be de-energized in order to open or close the disconnectors. So they are helpful when the maintenance activities are going on. So you can disconnect the disconnector, isolate the supply, and then close the earthing switch to make sure that if there are any trap charges, they are grounded. So in HVDC, the disconnector and earth switch is the key component. Then we also have surge arrestor. The function is same as that of the one we use in the AC transmission. So in case of surge that is happening on the GIS, it can be grounded safely without damaging the switchgear. Then we also have voltage and current measurement. Now please focus on the words. The word measurement is used and not the voltage and current transformers. Transformer is something that comes under AC, not in DC, right? So there are some resistive capacitive elements which helps us in measuring the voltage and current in the HVDC, and those modules are included in the HVDC GIS. And then we also have interface modules. Now, of course, you will have to connect this GIS to, let's say, the HVDC transmission line. Now, those transmission lines are air insulated. right? So you need some sort of interface that will connect that air insulated transmission line to the gas insulated GIS, and that's also referred to as the bushing. So SF6 to air bushing, for example, or SF6 to oil bushing, which is generally used for the transformer when they are oil immersed. So that kind of interface modules are also provided, where you can connect the GIS with the air insulated transmission line, or GIS with the cables, and there are many applications, or GIS with the gas insulated transmission lines. Yes, there are transmission lines which are gas insulated as well. If you want to know more on that, I have a video. I'll put link for it down in the description. So those are the main components of the HVDC GIS. Yes, I'm not missing anything. There is absolutely no circuit breaker. We'll talk about that in a minute. And here are some of the technical specs of the HVDC GIS. You can see the nominal DC voltage is plus or minus 500 kilovolts. The rated continuous DC voltage is plus or minus 550 kilovolts. Now both these ratings are different. Rated is the maximum voltage that this particular switchgear can carry, and nominal is something that stays in the system in normal conditions, right? And then you can see the insulation properties of the switchgear. Rated lightning impulse withstand voltage, rated switching withstand voltage. You can see the values are given here. And then there is a rated nominal current, which is 5000 ampere, go up to 5000 ampere. And then there is rated short time withstand current, which is given as 50 kiloampere for 1 second. Now please again pay attention to the wordings here. It says rated short time withstand current, not the breaking current. Breaking current will come when there is some sort of braking devices that are used, like circuit breaker. And as I said, there is no circuit breaker, and hence it is mentioned as withstand current. That means the switchgear is capable of withstanding up to 50 kiloampere for 1 second. And then the ambient temperature range is -30 to plus 50 degree Celsius. So it's suitable for harsh environmental conditions as well. Now coming back to the main question, why there is no circuit breaker? Well, let's understand that. Now in HVDC system, the protection and the control function is provided by the thyristor control system itself. And as a result, you can absolutely eliminate the circuit breaker from the DC switchyard. Okay, so in case of the fault current occurs or some abnormal situation occurs, the control or the current regulation can be done within the converter system that we have. And that's why a dedicated circuit breaker in DC switchyard is not required. And that's why if you pay attention to the single line diagram that we have seen initially, there is absolutely no circuit breaker symbol used, because it's not required. The converters are capable enough to control and regulate that faulty direct current. And in case if things go wrong, we still have the circuit breaker placed in the AC switchyard. So we have a circuit breaker after the converter transformer and before the converter transformer as well. So those circuit breaker can be operated, and the DC systems can be delinked. And that's why in a DC switchgear you will not find a dedicated circuit breaker. Well, that doesn't mean we don't have circuit breaker. There are some circuit breaker. For example, Hitachi Energy do have a hybrid circuit breaker for DC. But it's complicated. I mean, closing the direct current or breaking the direct current is complicated because there is no current zero, natural current zero. So you'll have to take it down artificially and then switch those things. So it's complicated. But the thyristor control converter systems do have capabilities to control and protect the system, and hence there is no dedicated circuit breaker needed in the DC switchyard. All right, so I hope you understood the overview of the high voltage direct current gas insulated switchgear. It is certainly very important when the space saving is needed. Right, and I hope you also understood why we don't use circuit breaker in DC switchyard. If you are interested in learning more about HVDC, I'll give link for the complete playlist on HVDC down in the description. Definitely go and check it out. Alright, so thank you so much for watching, guys. That's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. But till then, keep watching, keep learning.